Crank it up, let it roll. Stars and stripes in my soul. Steel toes on, boots in the gravel. Heartland truth on every channel. Open Bible, flag on the wall. We say what we believe when we don't talk it all. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. We back the badge, we guard the border. We love our guns and law and order. They try to shame every word we say, but we don't bow down, we just press play. This is red, white, and raise hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into silence. We were born to rebel from the back road to the bell. Hey, we won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raise hell. You can cancel the show, but not the crowd. We're still here, still talking loud. Hand of the free on every spell. Hit that mic, host, let the truth ring out. This is red, white, and raised hell. Cowboy hat, church bell, can't scare us into into silence. We were born to a rail, from the back road to the beltway. We won't fade, we won't fail. Proud, loud, standing tall. Red, white, and raised hell.
All right, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for being with us. It is a Tuesday, the fourth morning of the 8th month in the year of our Lord 2026. It's a big one to the north. And I know how most Ohioans feel about the north. Where do you find Ann Arbor? What is the directions? What does your GPS say? North till you smell it, west till you step in it, right? That's kind of the program. We're going to pay a little bit of attention to Michigan, or at least we will be throughout the day today. We're going to be paying a little bit of attention to that state tomorrow as we see what it decided. There's a really great article that I was reading last night on BizPac Review, and that is that the state of Michigan, or I'm sorry, this wasn't BizPac Review, this was Newsmax. The Michigan primary could either cement or pull back the curtains on the expose of the Democrat Socialists and the grip on the party. In other words, the outcome in Michigan of their primary for Senate, the Democratic primary today, is going to decide whether or not the Democratic Socialists of America actually run the Democrat Party, or if they just rented it for a short period of time. If they choose Abdul El Sayed, which is the guy we talked about yesterday in some depth, moderate depth, I guess. I don't know if I want to go with depth, to be truthful. But Abdul El Sayed is a radical socialist, communist, who spent his last day before the primary today with Hassan Piker, who is the radical socialist communist, who says that 9/11 was our fault and we deserved every bit of it, who is just a radical pro-Palestinian, pro-Islamist. That's who he's with. If the state of Michigan, which is purplish, if the state of Michigan goes to El Sayed, knowing that the polls show he will lose to Mike Rogers, the Republican, relatively easily, it shows you just how, what's the word I'm looking for, kidnapped, how badly, how strong of a hold that the socialists have on the Democrat Party now. I mean, it would be in their best interest to advance the moderate, to run against Rogers, who polls against him way better. If they choose the socialist instead, it's going to be some real proof, I guess, that the Democrat Party is gone. The Democrat Party is lost. It is full on socialist. And I talked about this some at the Middleburg Heights GOP picnic on Saturday. And I talked about it, I don't know, maybe briefly in passing yesterday. I don't want to rehash it all. But I really firmly believe, that the Democrat Party is a full-on socialist machine, even if there are some trying desperately to turn that narrative upside down and to pull that back and say, no, that's not who we are. James Carville, who's one of the most disgusting, foul-mouthed reprobates ever, and one of the Democrats, chief voices of strategy, if you will, he has said, if somebody like Syed is chosen, or if somebody like Piker becomes a huge voice in the Democrat Party, that he's going to leave the Democrat Party because he knows how dangerous it is for them to be associated with socialists. So there are some who are trying really hard to push back, but the reality is this, and I would say the same thing about James Carville and every single one of them. And this is what I said on Saturday. If it came down to it, if there was a socialist like El Sayed, if there was a socialist like Mamdani, if there was a socialist like AOC, if there was a socialist like any of them, Valdez, if any of the socialists who have been elected in Democratic primaries or in full general elections, if they came up against a Republican for a seat in the Senate, if they came up against a Republican, even a reasonable Republican, not even a MAGA Republican, not even an America First Republican, just general Republican for a spot in the Senate, for a spot in the House, for a gubernatorial campaign or election, who do you think the mainstream non-socialist Democrat is going to vote for? Who do you think James Carville is going to vote for? And the answer is the same always. The mainstream not so socialist Democrat and the fully progressive, far left, Green New Deal, abolish ICE, abolish the Senate, abolish the presidency, abolish prisons, abolish police, Medicare for all, those people will all vote the same way. The moderate Democrat and the radical Democrat will all vote for the Democrat over the Republican, which means that the party is socialist. Today's outcome just might put an exclamation point at the end of that statement in that sentence. I don't think it's a question any longer. Unless they would actually buck the socialists and say, I'm going to vote for a moderate Republican over the socialist Democrat, then the whole party is socialist. And that's extraordinarily important for us to point out, especially since we're going to do a little bit of introspective analysis today on our party by way of what's going on here in Ohio. You saw the graphic, right, to start the show that I had up there, the kind of placeholder, that one. AI did its job depicting Vivek there. I didn't even give it a picture this time, so it's not great, truthfully. I always, whenever I do my AI images to start the show or to hold the place for the show, I usually feed it a photograph of me or of my guest or whatever it might be. And then I say, use this, and then it doesn't use it. It can't. It has to break it down and then recreate it with its, whatever its technology is. Sometimes it's spot on. Sometimes it's trash. This time I didn't even use it. I just said, Vivek Ramaswamy having problems connecting with young voters after a big event in Cincinnati a few nights ago. Depict, can Vivek connect with young voters? And it just came up with this. So since it's hit or miss on whether you feed it a good photo or not, whether it does well, I just said let it run. So there it is. That's could be AI version of Vivek Ramaswamy. But what I want you to notice that AI created, I didn't tell it to put young voters with thumbs down, but you see on the right side, lower right-hand corner there, angry looking young voters doing thumbs down for Vivek. Guess what? That's kind of what happened in a speech at Xavier University just a few nights ago on the 31st, I guess it was. So that would have been what, Friday? Last Friday? So that's an issue. That's a problem, and we're going to have to look at it in depth. There are leftists who are trying to make way, way more out of it than I will. But there are some rose-colored glasses people who are saying, oh, it's nothing at all. I think the truth lies somewhere in between about the concern over that we should have as Republicans in the state of Ohio or conservatives in the state of Ohio, some concerns we have about our gubernatorial race. Just like we have to acknowledge concerns, which we should have, and I do have, and I hope everybody else does as well, concerns over the Senate race with Senator Husted against former Senator Sherrod Brown. I'm not suggesting that there's anything we should, question about our support for. It's just, is there enough support for? Is Senator Husted moving the needle enough? Is Vivek Ramaswamy moving the needle enough to make sure that we win these elections, which are crucial for the, I think, economic survival of our state. And then obviously when it comes to the Senate race, the survival of the country. Because as we all know, if the Senate flips to Democrat, what they're going to do, they're going to vote to nuke the filibuster. We know it. And if they have to wait until 2028 to get a president to sign off on some of their radical ideas, they'll do it. But they will get the ball rolling very, very quickly. So we've got to talk about these things in real time here. So we're going to talk about those things. I've got a few other stories before I get into, even though the Vivek story is my headliner by way of the graphic, I've got a few things that I want to hit outside of that and outside of the Michigan primary and its control over the DSC, Democratic Socialist, or DSA, I guess I should say. The DSC is the Democrat Senatorial Committee. You know what? They both work. Democrat Senatorial Committee and the Democrat Socialists of America, they both kind of work the same way. But I'm going to hit this and then I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to beat it up because I know it makes some people uncomfortable to have to deal with the reality. But, I put it up last night. In fact, let me grab it if I can real quick from Facebook, because I posted this last night and I didn't make a big diatribe about it because I know how people feel about it, but I just had to put it up there. Yesterday, we did the story. About President Trump and Iran, obviously, because he said on Sunday, we're going to have this Saturday, this massive bombing campaign is going to be the worst attack since World War II. And then on Sunday, it's, they want a deal. They want to have a deal. They want to come to the table now. So I'm holding off on the attack. And then yesterday, it's, doggone those deceptive Iranians. They said they wanted a deal. Now they don't want a deal. So now, we can't trust them. And then late last night, all right, we're at the negotiating table. We're dealing with them. It's the same replayed, rinse and repeat issue that the president has in this fight with Iranians that, like I said, it's frustrating to me. And my screen is frozen, by the way. That's the reason I'm kind of dragging this out a little bit now. I'm trying to pull up a Facebook post that I made last night. And I can't move it. I'm literally completely frozen at the moment. I can't switch pages. I cannot. And in fact, I think I might be frozen on your screen as well, which is problematic. Let's unfreeze somewhere, somebody, somehow. How about that? Yeah. All right. Where are we now? Okay, it's back now. I don't know how much you were able to hear during all of that, but when I tried to switch to my... All right, now it's playing back. How about that? Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. So my screen froze as I tried to switch to my Facebook screen so that I could share with you what I posted yesterday. But like I said, everything froze. I think it's because it started to play the Facebook version of the live stream, which is on Rumble. So I think we're good now. Apologies for that. Anyway, this is what I was trying to share. It's just so frustrating, and I'm only going to make a comment about it here, and then I'm going to let it go because dwelling on it doesn't seem to serve a whole lot of purpose at this point in time. But there it is. And that was Breitbart last night. Again, these are not left-wing news sites that I'm showing here. Okay, this is Breitbart's headline: Trump says Iran talks underway, and then parenthetically again. Tehran's last chance before decapitation. Speaking in the Oval Office, I put this in the comments over there. Speaking in the Oval Office, Trump said he delayed the planned strikes after Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and other regional countries, urged him to give diplomacy another chance. But this is the last chance, he said. This is the last chance for them to sign a good document. I read it. I rolled my eyes. I probably cussed because how many times? Last chance, sign a good document. They won't sign a good document. And even if they did, they won't honor a good document, finish the fight. If you have an opponent in the 12th round, laying on the rings, barely conscious, and you're one good right cross from ending the fight, you don't stop and say, let's negotiate an end to this fight that we can both agree upon. Let's we'll both be happy with. No, finish the fight. Mr. President, I implore you, stop letting them drag you. And by the way, while these quote unquote negotiators were supposedly on their way to negotiate with the president's team, with Witkoff and Kushner, the IRGC was hitting more ships. I got nothing. I'm trying very, very hard to find something, but at this point in time, I got nothing to say about this that is positive. So we're going to move on from it. That's really all I could do. A couple of others. This one, there are two actual stories here that I want to kind of hit back to back for you here. We got problems apparently in DHS. We've got problems with our new DHS Secretary, Markwayne Mullin, of whom I was very supportive in the early going when President Trump chose him, and the start that he got, especially the calls for ramping up and working with Tom Homan. You know, Homan likes somebody, I'm good with him. I trust Homan almost more than I trust anybody in the government. Tom Homan liked Markwayne Mullin as the DHS secretary and said, we're going to do great things together here. I'm like, all right, let's go. I had a real big problem with a lot of what Kristi Noem was doing, as did a whole lot of other people. President Trump made the right call. Get her out. Get Markwayne Mullin in. I was all about it. Let's go with that. But now Markwayne Mullin is apparently making some remarks and speeches and other places that have a whole lot of strong anti-illegal immigration and pro-largest deportation in American history that our president promised us and has been working toward delivering, with massive, massive hiring, tens of thousands of new agents, and not just, you know, starting with the worst of the worst first, as Tom Homan likes to say, but expanding as well, which is what the American people voted for. President Trump said, I'm going to do it. We said, do it, by hiring him, and he's doing it. It's all well and good. But now apparently the new DHS secretary is raising some alarms. I'm going to read a little bit for you from Gateway. A growing number of influential conservatives are calling for the ouster of Markwayne Mullin after comments he made over the weekend were seen as a capitulation on immigration. The criticism intensified further on Monday after Politico reported the opposition to Mullin extended into the Trump administration itself, not just, you know, outsiders, outside conservatives, but people within the administration. According to the report, Mullin is facing resistance not only from outspoken conservative voices, but from within the White House. It takes a lot to unite this administration around a cohesive point of view, a senior administration official told Politico. But Mullin deserves credit where it's due. Everyone agrees he sucks donkey butt. What? I didn't say that. They did. Look at that. Can you see the highlight? Hopefully you're seeing what I'm seeing. Yeah. Mullin sucks donkey butt. We all agree. And we all agree on nothing. But that we agree on. Holy cow. There's Dasha Burns putting it this way. Markwayne Mullin is facing a growing MAGA revolt, with allies accusing him of being too conciliatory in immigration despite record deportation numbers. There's that quote again. Again, what I said at the beginning, I had been very impressed by Markwayne Mullin, again, because of the extraordinarily, drastic increase in deportation numbers, both self-deportation and ICE-directed deportation. So I was fine with him. But now I'm coming to find out about some of these remarks bothering some of the people in the president's cabinet and in the administration. I said, okay, we got to pay a little bit of attention to this. Rage boiled over on X Saturday after Mullin spoke about immigration reform at the National Governors Association summer meeting in Oklahoma City, drawing a distinction between immigrants pursuing legal status and those who aren't. He called for changes to employment visa programs to address labor shortages. Now that sounds very, very, what's the word I want to use here? That sounds very, very DeWine-y, because isn't that kind of the same argument Mike DeWine has been making about the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio? Labor shortages. If we get rid of the, formerly TPS protected Haitians, there's going to be labor shortages. Businesses, manufacturers in Springfield are all going to go under because, boy, oh boy, the Haitians are, the bedrock of the community. I didn't hear Mullin say it, obviously, but I'm reading and I'm quoting from the articles and the complaints that have been made about Markwayne Mullin. And, we can read, right? We can read and we can listen. And it sounds very much similar to that. If workplace shortages mean we have to allow some of the illegals to stay here, we've got a problem. And if our Homeland Security Director believes that, then once again, we've got a problem. According to the report, there's a growing consensus that Mullin is more eager to please his Democrat Party critics than to deliver on the agenda that President Trump campaigned on. Let's see. Okay, here's Mullin. Here's the actual quote, and then I'll play it. During the event, he said there was a difference between illegal immigrants pursuing legal status and jobs and those who are simply in the country illegally. So let's.
Congress actually do immigration reform. It's been since Ronald Reagan, since we had any kind of meaningful reform.
That was governor's amnesty. That wasn't even reform.
Yeah. Well, governors want to be a solution, and we feel like we're closer. And what I think American public loves is the fact that me and the governor of New York, the governor of Oklahoma, the governor of New York, can agree on a lot of issues. And how can we present that? And how do you think through, is there potential to fix this?
So let me unpack that. Coming from 13 years, gosh, that was a long time, in the House and in the Senate. Listen, we haven't had actual immigration reform since 1959. There's a reason. It's political. Anything that becomes political, everybody in this room is political. We understand that. When it becomes political and becomes a red issue, a blue issue, it means it's dead. If this was easy to fix, it would have got fixed.
So if you can just bear with me and allow me to just give a quick analysis of that and tell me if it aligns with yours. I heard in his voice just there some regret that there hasn't been significant immigration reform since 1959. He wants immigration reform. This is why conservatives are right now just howling mad. He wants immigration reform. And the only immigration reform that has been discussed in this country has been a complete change in the definition of illegal immigration. They want amnesty for those who are. I'm not saying Markwayne Mullin just called for amnesty. Don't get me wrong. But what he did say is he's lamenting the fact that there has not been any significant immigration reform because it becomes political, blue or red, and then it's dead. Sounds like he wants immigration reform. If immigration reform in any way, shape, or form leads to amnesty for those who broke the laws and came here, all Lord knows how many, 15, 20, 25 million, some say 30 to 35 million just based on what happened during Biden in his 4 years. Allowing anywhere between 10 and 20 million in himself. If there were 10 to 15 million here before, all right, we're up to 35 million, aren't we? The point being, any amount of them that are allowed to get amnesty under any sort of immigration reform that Markwayne Mullin appears to be, kind of disturbed about not having seen happen yet, that's a problem. If our DHS director is wishing for some sort of reform, because there has never been a reform proposal in the last, 30 years that I'm aware of that didn't include amnesty for those who are already here. Now, if you want to do immigration reform, and it starts with every single undocumented, AKA illegal alien in this country right now is rounded up in a massive sweep by ICE and sent the hell back to their home countries. And now we start over with some new rules. I'd be open to the discussion of the new rules if that's what reform looks like. But if reform ever looks like, let's let those who broke the law stay, and then we'll talk about what to do about new people coming in, then it's a non-starter. Forget about it. Then he's right. It is dead. Just a couple more on this.
Side was wanting to compromise in it. The Biden administration could have done it in the first 2 years they were in office when they had full control of Washington, D.C., and then we could have done it when we had full control. The problem is that it's hard to get 60. It's hard to get an agreement because no matter what you do, it's not good enough. And so we try to get perfection on immigration bill, and it's not perfection that we're looking for. Yes, we love perfection, but that's not what politics is about. It's about negotiating and getting the best option. Plug the holes that you can plug. I worked with no labels for 2 years. 2 years. What we did when we brought people in, and we met every 2 weeks on this issue. And what we said is, here's red lines for both sides, right, left, red lines. What's in the middle? We came with a pretty good solution in the middle. Really non-controversial. President actually was like, yeah. If you get leadership to sign off on it, yes, I'm good with it. We went to the Oval Office, sat down and talked to him. We'd take it to Jeffries, he'd make changes. We'd take it back to Schumer, he'd make changes. We'd take it back to Thune, they'd make changes. Take it to the Speaker's office, they'd make changes. And before you get back, now you're so far apart, you haven't even got started. And so is immigration reform possible? No. Do you really need immigration reform? Yes, you do.
There it is. This is the part, like I said, you could hear him intimating it in the first part about his lamenting that there has not been immigration reform. And I'm going to say this too. I don't want immigration reform if it involves taking it to Jeffries and letting hack Jeffries make changes to it, because it's going to lead to open borders. If it means taking it to Chuck Schumer to make changes to it, it's going to lead to open borders. If it means letting the Democrats have a role in rolling back our sovereignty, then it's a non-starter. And Marquette Mullen sounds like in this case, which is why there are people in the administration who are very fed up with him in just a very short period of time that he's been Homeland Security Homeland Security Secretary, excuse me. It's a very short period of time. People are fed up with him because of things like this. President Trump didn't want immigration reform that makes the Democrats half happy and makes conservatives half happy. He wanted full-on American sovereignty. He wanted a big, beautiful wall. He wanted to make sure no more illegals came into this country. And over the last 14 months, there have been no releases into the country by way of our southern border, thanks to the amazing job that he has done, giving our Customs and Border Patrol agents all the tools that they need to shut it down. That's fantastic. That's what Americans want. That's what Republicans want. That's what true sovereign Americans believe in. But here's Marquette Mullen kind of talking about playing it down the middle. And that's why he's getting, excoriated right now by many within the administration.
But can we work with the system we have? Yes. We have naturalization ceremonies every single day in the United States that federal government's open. We have hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, we're real close to 900,000 individuals that have been naturalized in the last 12 months. There's a legal system to go through. But if you choose not to even begin or not to change your status, even if you've been here 25 years, I can't help you for that, right? If you have a status change and you're working in your status change, so you overstayed your visa, but you're going through the system to change your status because you got married and you've been married to a U.S. citizen for 4 years and you're going through the family visa system. You have no criminal history. You get picked up and you're in the court system and you've been showing up for your court dates, you're going to be released. You may get picked up, may be detained, may go through that process, but you're going to get released because you've been showing up, you've been going to your court system, your status is changing. If you haven't done anything, or you have a criminal background, if you have a criminal background, we're not making exceptions for you. There is no exceptions. There zero exceptions. If you're over here, you committed a crime while you're inside the United States and you're not a citizen of the United States, you're going home. There's no exceptions to that. If you're over here and you've overstayed your visa and you haven't changed your status, or you came in illegally, you haven't changed your status, you claimed asylum and you have no asylum claim, there's nothing I can do for you. It's the same thing if you're driving 90 miles an hour in an 80-mile-an-hour turnpike zone. Yeah, they might give you grace for 10 over, but they don't have to, right? If you're doing 90 in a turnpike, 80 mile an hour, and you get pulled over and you got an open container, you're definitely going to jail because you broke the rules. It's the same thing here. We have rules, and the rules can be followed. Are they tough? Does it take time? Yes, but we still have immigration policy and they have to be enforced. And people want to talk about the workforce. I understand that, but a workforce that's an illegal workforce only grows illegal activity. It doesn't grow the economy in long term. It's a short-term solution, but it's going to be long-term problems.
All right, I'm going to stop it there because I just wanted to kind of, like I said, make a few points there. And this is why some are saying he sounds like he's equivocating a little bit on President Trump's absolute border lockdown policies. And if you're in charge of Homeland Security and you are not completely in lockstep with the president on this, it's a problem. Apparently responding to the backlash, Mullen then posted a statement on X later Saturday reaffirming his opposition to amnesty. Quote, "No amnesty for illegal aliens." And there's again, let me double check to make sure you're seeing the same thing. Okay. Yeah, you got it. No amnesty for illegal. I'm trying to highlight in there and it's changing it's clicking over. So all I want to do is this. without. We are a nation of laws. If you're illegally present in the United States of America, you will be detained and deported, period. So he's trying to reestablish his bona fides, or his bona fides, if you will. He's trying to say, look, I am still just as hardcore anti-illegal immigration as I was before. But as you can read here, the Post did little to calm many of his critics. Legendary former Border Patrol head Gregory Bovino criticized Mullen for highlighting nearly 900,000 naturalizations over a 12-month period, while in Bovino's view, celebrating legal immigration without addressing how much of a failure to deliver on deportations could affect the midterms for Republicans. Here's Bovino's tweet. And I'm going to have to click this one and show it to you because it's a little bit longer. Every time I look up, I see a new terrible answer or thought coming out of Mark Mullen's mouth in this interview. He proudly announces nearly 900,000 naturalizations in 12 months, 95% third world immigrants, then lectures us about the legal process. He celebrates your replacement as long as it's done legally, without mentioning that 80% of legal immigrants will vote Democrat. This is the man running our Department of Homeland Security, and we wonder why we are going to lose the midterms. That's pretty strong stuff by Greg Bovino, and it should not be lost upon anybody that most of the critics of Markwayne Mullin and President Trump's choice of Markwayne Mullin here would rather have Greg Bovino. Ned Ryan posted, "Can we get a new DHS secretary before it's too late?" Radio host Todd Starnes also laid into Markwayne Mullin. That's not what you told the governors today. Are you deporting all illegals or just the worst of the worst? If you don't have the stomach for the job, resign. Journalist Megan Basham questioned how the administration officials could so badly misread the views of the base. What I want to know is, who did these guys speak to before they went to D.C.? How do they continually get the mood of their base so abominably wrong? No one wants this except the Chamber of Commerce, which suggests to me that this is the only people that they are listening to. So it goes on a little bit there, and that's about enough. Nick Sorter, big influencer. Markwayne Mullin is once again encouraging illegal Haitians and aliens with TPS to seek permanent resident status. This guy is a joke. Make them apply for legal status back in their home country, not while they are here. So this is, like I said, it's a strong issue that we have to address right now, and one that is only becoming more and more acrimonious. And it begs the question once again, however, and I hate this fact about it, and I'm trying to close these other things down here while I talk. I hate having to do this again, but who's President Trump listening to when it comes time to make appointments? He appointed Kristi Noem, didn't work out. Replaced her with Markwayne Mullin, may not be working out. It's like, what advice, who are his advisors, and what are they telling him about who the right choices would be for positions like Homeland Security Secretary? Maybe it's time to start listening to those who say, Mr. President, put Greg Bovino in charge. Bovino is the one who got run from CBPS because of the shootings in Minnesota and the lack of adequate, responses, if you will, to some of the harassers and the those who interfere with the lawful operations of ICE and so on and so forth. Bovino was the one who took the fall for that. Maybe Bovino is the one who should be in charge of the whole damn thing. It's basically the question. And one other quick note on this before I dive back into the top story of the day, which is going to be Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm going to just follow up on this since this is kind of icy as well, talking about related to the ICE story and related to Homeland Security. MSNBC is really, really butthurt, and apparently this just kind of, I suppose you could say this speaks for the left writ large. They're really, really butthurt by disgusting language used by ICE agents. Well, what is the language? What are we talking about here? What are our ICE heroes saying that is so extraordinarily offensive that the left is just beside itself? Are they calling them disparaging, racist terms, profane terms? What kind of language are we talking about here? Well, apparently, some of the ICE agents, when communicating with one another, are talking about people that they are looking for or people that they have found, referring to them as, plug the ears of the kids on this one, okay? Because it's bad. Apparently, they're referring to some of the illegals as wets, W-E-T-S, wets, which is short for wetbacks. Ah, my virgin ears. Holy cow, didn't you know that wetback was just as illegal as the N-word? And MS Now anchor is upset by what he calls disgusting language used by ICE agents. Jacob Sabaroff kicked off his Saturday show by discussing released court documents that include text messages and language that have been used to describe illegal immigrants whom he categorized as simply Latinos. There's another set of court filings this week, again by the ACLU, along with public counsel and other groups and private attorneys as well. They reveal much more about who was behind the real and metaphorical masks that we have been seeing. We are now learning more about the federal agents who carried out the raids in my hometown of LA, what they did and said about the people they saw as potential targets. California forensically recovered texts that also revealed in those filings show a text chain where agents referred to humans as just, quote, bodies. Look at this, quote, I think they, Border Patrol agents, only know one way to operate: see bodies, chase bodies. Even more body camera footage and text court agents used racial language and slurs to describe Latinos. I want to warn you, the language you're about to hear is very offensive. It's disgusting. But I believe it's really important for you guys to hear and witness nonetheless. The agent refers to a person as, quote, wet. Wet is typically short for wetback, which is a slur that ties back to Operation Wetback. We normally don't say it on television, but you should know it because it was the official and racist name for the 1954 deportation effort led by the Eisenhower administration, which Trump has lauded in the past and modeled this deportation effort after. This is the language they are continuing to use. Wetbacks. You mean to describe the Rio Grande, the river that makes them wet when they cross into the country illegally? Oh, the humanity of it all. MS Now reached out to DHS about the details in the ACLU reports. A spokesperson responded in part, quote, if the ACLU is this committed to the cause of criminal illegal aliens, it should change its name. ICE law enforcement officers are trained to use the minimum amount of force necessary to resolve dangerous situations, to prioritize the safety of the public and our officers. Officers are highly trained in de-escalation tactics and regularly receive ongoing use of force training. That's not what we've seen, though, isn't Sabroff asked. All of this goes back to power. Who has the power and who gets the power? What we do with the power. We, the people on election day, we get to exercise it, and we get to choose what kind of country we want to be. Hey, MS Now hack, you're diggity gosh damn right. We, the people, got to decide who is in power. And we decided the one we wanted in power is the one who is sending ICE out there to collect the bodies. It doesn't mean dead bodies, but yes, all of them, including maybe wetbacks. And guess what? They're not calling them wetbacks to their faces. If they're texting one another and saying, this, I found a wet over here, if they're talking about a Mexican illegal migrant or whatever, it's interpersonal communication, interdepartmental. It's not like they're going, hey, you wetback, come over here, show me your papers. But we know you've got to find something to cry about. We know you've got to find something that will alleviate the poor pain and suffering that people are being subjected to by being referred to privately, in which nothing anybody has ever known about as being wets or wetbacks. The only response that I can give to something like that is to say, out of support for our heroic ICE agents, continue to go after the bodies, whether they be dry or wets. Men, women of ICE, we appreciate you.
Clock in at midnight, boots laced. Another name on the paper, another hard case. Got a wife back in Lubbock, kids in their Sunday best. I ain't some villain in a movie, I'm a man doing my best. You can scream in my face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody's safe today. You hold that sign, I hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw the line in the sand. Saw you playing for cameras, shoving phones in my crew, spitting words like traitor, like you know what we go through. When you circle that transport, like it's some kind of game, there's a scared little girl in the backseat, you don't even know her name. You can scream in my face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody's safe today. You hold that sign, I'll hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand. Then you shove them into harm's way. You turn a bus into a battlefield. I'm just trying to get them home today. Call me every name you can think of, I'll still show up when it hits the fan. When the dust clears, when fear's near, we'll see who really ran. You can scream in my face, you can block my way, but this badge on my chest means somebody's safe today. You hold that sign, I'll hold this line in my hands. While you're chanting the street, I'm the one who stands. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand. Yeah, you draw your crowd, I draw a line in the sand.
If you're on Medicare and ever find yourself confused by your coverage, you're not alone. Medicare can be complicated, and the wrong information or no information at all can cost you time, money, and peace of mind. Hey, it's Bob France. For a Medicare professional I know and trust, Mark King. I've known Mark for years, and I've confidently referred Medicare recipients to him time and time again because he puts people first and explains Medicare in plain English. Mark takes the time to help you understand how Medicare works, what coverage you have, and what options might be available based on your needs. There's no pressure, no confusion, and no rushed decisions. Just honest guidance from someone who's been doing this for nearly 40 years and who knows this system inside and out. If you're unsure about your doctors, your prescriptions, or your overall coverage, Mark is the go-to guy you need. Call 440-832-8936 to get an appointment. That's 440-832-8936. And for user-friendly information, visit keepingmedicaresimple.com. I trust Mark King for answers, and you can too. All right, everybody. Thanks for, again, being with us. And thanks to Mark King. Does such an amazing job. Make sure you call that phone number if you are in need of two things: Medicare or any assistance getting the show, getting Rumble. If you're watching it for the first time now, but you don't know how to subscribe and create an account, you have to create an account in order to be a subscriber and a follower. Mark is willing to help you out. And I love the fact that he's willing to do that, and so many others as well. All right. So again, I'm going to talk about the lead story, Vivek, here, but I do have one more that I wanted to hit because I teased it as well. There's a huge primary today up in Michigan. Michigan, again, is generally regarded as a purple state, and pretty much is. And it's in play with respect to its Senate seat. Mike Rogers, who lost the last time around, is back at it for the Republicans. He is the presumptive nominee for the Republicans. But on the Democrat side, you've probably been following this as closely as I have. you're talking about a radical DSA type candidate, one who is backed by the Democrat Socialists of America. He's also a radical Islamist who loves the Palestinians and hates the state of Israel. He is believes that, he campaigns with, anyway, somebody named Hassan Piker, who believes that 9/11 was absolutely deserved. The United States of America should have been hit the way it was by Al-Qaeda. So he's a radical named Dr. Abdul El-Sayed. He's facing the moderate challenger, or the moderate elected official already. Actually, the moderate in Michigan is already in the House, so she's a proven Haley Stevens. She's a proven vote getter, at least in one district. Can she win statewide? This is where the question comes in. And the question then becomes, if El-Sayed wins, what does this mean bigger picture for the Democrat Party? And according to Newsmax, and this is a really good piece, and I'm going to try to share it if I can figure out why. I can't figure out why it's not sharing right now. This is a really good piece. This is going to be, here it is. Now I think I've got it loaded up. This is going to be kind of a statement, a declaration of whether or not the Democrat Party has fallen completely to Democrat socialists, if the DSA is actually now in charge of the party. So I want you to watch this short short clip here with Mike Rogers, the Republican, who will be facing off with either El-Sayed or with
I think we're
Haley.
going to do exceptionally well. Remember, $60 or $70 million spent in this primary. So we've been out doing the hard work of a campaign. We're building our ground game. Think of this. We went over 1 million doors knocked already. We started back in December. And so we're building the mechanisms we need to win. And this is a change election. And people wonder why we're doing as well as we are in Michigan. This is a change election. 60% of the state of our Michiganders are saying the state is going the wrong direction. Well, guess what? Quarter century of 2 Democrats in the United States Senate, talking the same way, voting the same way. Same with in Lansing. They've been in charge for 10 years. Our education's now 45th. Think of that. It's 45th. We lost defense industrial based work, 200,000 manufacturing jobs gone, highest utility rates in the Midwest, highest auto insurance rate in the country. Democrats did that. And these voters know it. It is a change election, and I don't care which one comes out. We're going to beat them. But I do think Abdul has his own special crazy sauce.
Mike Rogers is a solid candidate. He's a very solid candidate, and I want him to be the guy. Clearly, the question is what's the best road for him to get into the Senate? And the answer to that question, believe it or not, is for the lunatic to get in. The lunatic to be his opponent, I should say. For El-Sayed that he was just talking about to get in, because the moderate again. What's her name? Haley Stevens. She's neck and neck with Mike Rogers in a hypothetical general election matchup for that Senate seat. Haley Stevens and Mike Rogers are like this. But when it comes to El-Sayed, the lunatic DSA guy, it's Mike Rogers up here and El-Sayed lunatic down here. So the best case scenario is for the lunatic to win and make it to the general election because Mike Rogers beats them, but Rogers and Steve. And yet this is the whole reason I'm bringing it up. In the purple state of Michigan, the Democrat Party is basically saying we are socialists. Because even though Stevens does better against Rogers than El-Sayed does, El-Sayed is doing better against Stevens by like this. He's beating her by like 15 points. He's going to win this election today, this primary today. It's extraordinary. I have some of the specific numbers here rather than just my hand gestures to show you this. Emerson College survey of likely Democrat primary voters found El-Sayed over Stevens 54-39. That's that 15-point bulge I was talking about. 54-39. See, did my hands do that right? Mitchell Research puts the margin at 52-38. Real Clear Politics average has it sitting at 50-40. So still even 10. So the Democrats in Michigan are saying we like the socialist. Even if the socialist is by far a worse candidate against Rogers, the Republican going in. El-Sayed has the backing of Bernie Sanders, AOC, the Squad, DSA organizers who have poured tons of resources into Michigan. He backs Medicare for all, free childcare for all, a massive increase in minimum wage, which is going to crush small businesses, ending the Senate filibuster, which is a different reason that we support the end of the filibuster. But he insists that he's not technically DSA because he hasn't, declared with them, but he's backed by them because everything he believes in, they believe in. And the Democrats. So the point being here that Newsmax was making on this is that Michigan kind of might be the Rubicon that gets crossed. We're seeing DSA candidates backed in the governor's race in Wisconsin, for example. We already saw what happened in Colorado. We already saw what happened in California, up in Washington, obviously New York. I mean, it's literally from one end of the country to another. If Michigan, which is purplish, decides to push forward a guy that is going to lose to Mike Rogers, but if Michigan Democrats push forward a guy this radical in a purple state, it will just show that the Democrat Party has lost all control of the party. The mainstream Democrats, the traditional Democrats, the moderate Democrats, call them what you will, they've lost all control of their party. If in a very winnable purple state, they can't hold off the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, it shows they're gone. For lack of a better way of saying it, they have no power anymore. They have no sway. They have no influence. And that's dangerous for all of us. And I know I'm weaving this weird little web. I'm not intending to, but I don't want socialists taking over the Democrat Party. But socialists taking over the Democrat Party might make it a little bit easier for us to win certain elections, including this one up in Michigan. But if one of the two parties, and I'm going to go back to what I said yesterday, and I apologize for any replication and redundancy, but if one of the two major parties in a two-party system is socialist, it's trouble. It's danger time for our country. Because again, Democrats, if given the choice between a socialist or a Republican, will go with this. Even the moderate Democrats who don't like socialism, they'll choose socialism over conservatism. They'll choose socialism over America First, over MAGA. And that puts us in a very, very precarious position, doesn't it? So I just kind of want to, I guess I'm using that sort of kind of to once again promote what I said yesterday. I'm putting together, and I'm working on as we speak, an 8-part series on socialism, not socialism big picture, but socialism by country. In each place where it has been tried, what have been the results? Not just general numbers, like I said yesterday, and I've said multiple times, somewhere between 100 and 130 million. Some say as many as 170 million. The estimates vary depending on who's, putting them out. But somewhere between 100, 130, 150, 170 million people have been killed in the last century by socialism/communism. So I'm doing this series in which we're going to highlight a different country in each episode, a different place in each episode. And we're going to not just give you numbers, but we're going to give you very specifics about what they did, how they did it, why they did it, and how it's relating to us. And again, believe the pasty white guy doing his show in Northeast Ohio about the threat of socialism and communism here doesn't do anything for you. You don't listen to me, believe me? Okay. Believe the communist survivors, or rather, the survivors of communism who have come to the United States and saying, I see it happening here. Communist China survivor, Xi Van Fleet, comes here and is sounding the alarm. What you're watching right now are the beginning phases of what we went through with the Great Leap Forward and Mao's Cultural Revolution. Venezuelan expats who got out of there, who came here, true asylum seekers, big difference, came here and saying, we are seeing what they did in Venezuela, the beginning stages of that turned it into a socialist hellhole. We're going to feature Venezuela and Cuba. We're going to feature Russia. We're going to feature China. We're going to feature Cambodia. Like I said, 8 episodes. I got 8 episodes that I'm working on. I'm writing scripts for them even as we speak. Then I'm going to have to try to do a little bit of editing work and throw some video and some still photos that'll shock your system, I think, together on this. It's a project. It's going to take a little bit of time. But I'm in the process of doing this because what did I just do for the last 10 minutes? The socialists are taking over the party, the Democrat Party, and Michigan could be the real, exclamation point at the end of that sentence. If they can win in Michigan, a place where it's purple enough and they know they have a chance to win, to hold a Senate seat, and to, again, still kind of declare that they are always going to be in play, or they can surrender to the socialists, and they're surrendering to the socialists. When Al-Sayed wins this election today in this primary, the Democrat Party in Michigan will be virtually lost, and it will be an indicator, and this is what Newsmax was arguing. It will be an indicator that the party itself, writ large, the Democrat Party, is now fully controlled, owned and operated by socialists and communists, which is why we're going to need to learn. All right. Having said all of that, let me remind everybody about our good friend Charlie. He is in Northeast Ohio. If you are in Northeast Ohio, as most of our listeners are and viewers are, you know where Lakewood is. You probably know where Charlie's is. Maybe you didn't know the phone number to get an appointment for your car. 216-470-0170. The politically incorrect mechanic runs Charlie's Auto Repair, and he runs it with concern and care for you. You have your car, you come in, everybody has to make their car payment. And oh my gosh, now I got to make the equivalent of 3 car payments to repair it. Holy cow. It's nerve-wracking. It is anxiety-inducing. Charlie is there to alleviate some of that stress because you know that he's not going to charge you a nickel over what it costs to actually fix it. No unnecessary parts replacements, no unnecessary work being done, no re-estimating how many hours the labor is going to take and what the charge is going to be. What you are quoted is what you will pay. Charlie is a good man, and he's going to take great care of you. Doesn't matter what you have, by the way. I don't care if you got a sedan, a passenger car, a light truck, or if you want to bring in your power washer or your lawnmower or your rascal scooter that isn't running. If it's got a motor, Charlie can fix it. He's going to take great care of you. Call that number 216-470-0170. And remember, 10% off for all concealed carry license holders, first responders, active military, and U.S. veterans. 10% off for all of you. Charlie will make your car or your motor great again. And thank you, Charlie, for being a foundational sponsor of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered. All right. So I want to dive into this now. This is what I started with, and this is where I want to spend the last hour of the show. Can Vivek Ramaswamy connect with young voters? So there was an event that there's an event that Vivek Ramaswamy spoke at. That'd be funny to see Charlie giving one of those speeches, Charlie Kalani. There was an event that Vivek spoke at Xavier University, which, as you know, is down in Cincinnati, which is Vivek's hometown. He spoke to a YAL event. YAL is Young Americans for Liberty. And to say that it didn't go well would be a bit of an understatement. Analysis of why it didn't go well is where we have a conversation. Those who are trying to sink Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign say that he is just not popular with young conservatives. He can't connect to them. He can't talk to them. Those who want to see Vivek fall and see Amy Acton take over the state of Ohio are going to push that argument. Those who are trying to be a little bit more objective and analytical, which would include me, are going to look at the nature of that audience and find out why Vivek Ramaswamy got booed off of that stage. And we're going to talk about what that means. And also, what I want to analyze for you this morning and break down a little bit is, I'm going to try to pull up one of these articles for you here that we're going to talk about. What I want to kind of break down is the core substance of what Vivek actually said. Aside from the makeup of the crowd, aside from the Vivek Ramaswamy's popularity with that crowd, I want to address the substance of what he actually went there to say, because some are saying the reason that crowd booed and kind of ran him off is because he sounded too elitist and was talking down to them and was basically saying, get away from me, losers. I've already got mine. That's the way they're painting and portraying this. And I want to address the substance because it's wrong. They're wrong. And Vivek Ramaswamy did not say anything wrong. That was a crowd that was predetermined and I think, planned to turn on him before he ever even took the stage and said a word. This is an article. Now it's going to, as you can see it on my screen and now yours, it says Yahoo News, but this was an article by a Columbus Dispatch writer. Okay. Hopefully as I make that a little bit larger, you can see that, right? There he is. Ray Marcano is a Columbus Dispatch contributing columnist. I bring that up because it's important to note what Ray Marcano is and who he works for. The Columbus Dispatch, for those who already know, this isn't any breaking news. The Columbus Dispatch is like the Cleveland Plain Steamer, the steaming pile of crap. It's not terribly different from the Toledo Blade nor the Cincinnati Enquirer. All of the big newspapers in the state of Ohio are left-wing rags. They basically run repeats of what's in the Washington Post, except they hire their own editorial writers to write their own left-wing editorial garbage. It should be noted that what you're about to hear is going to be slanted, and that's the reason why it needs to be covered, I believe, in a couple of different ways, which is what I'm going to try to provide here. So I'm going to quote some of the lines now from this editorial in the Columbus Dispatch, headlined, Ramaswamy will be haunted by winners or whiners, deplorables like speech. Okay? Vivek Ramaswamy does like to use the phrase winners versus whiners. What do you want to be? If you want to be a winner, we can work hard and win. In the state of Ohio, in your personal life, in your career, your job, your education, work hard and you can win. Or you can choose just to whine and say, oh, woe is me, it's so not fair. Hello, is there something incorrect about that? Or is that pretty much spot on accurate? It's the bootstraps question, right? Do you want to pull yourself up, or do you want to sit and wallow in your own misery and not do anything about it? You can work toward being a winner. You can whine. I didn't think that was anti-conservative. But the way he and they are trying to paint it, it's as if it's some sort of a slam on the American people and on conservatism, which Vivek Ramaswamy is supposed to reflect. He also calls it deplorables-like, which I'll get to here in the actual language of it, comparing it to Hillary Clinton's basket of deplorables speech describing Trump voters. Some campaign events are so cringeworthy, writes the Columbus Dispatch, that you feel for the candidates. In Vivek Ramaswamy's case, his last speech on July 31st in Cincinnati belongs in the Hall of Fame of embarrassing political performances. He got booed off the stage by college students, and they're trying to make it sound like it's just normal college students, an open-minded, ready to learn and absorb and to listen to a candidate, group of college students. After off-putting remarks infuriated what should have been a friendly crowd. Not a chance. That's not who the YAL is. And then when the crowd turned on him, he tucked tail and left. See, this is, again, the left-wing media is going to try to make every single element of anything conservative and every candidate that they oppose, like Vivek Ramaswamy, look and sound far, far worse than it was. Ramaswamy addressed the Young Americans for Liberty National Convention at Xavier University. It's a group that believes in small government and personal freedom, two of the pillars central to Ramaswamy's campaign. Yes, that is true. They are libertarian, however. They are libertarian, not conservative, or not just conservative. They take things to an extreme. And I know there may be some libertarians in this audience right now, and that is not intended to be an insult to you to say you are extreme, but libertarianism is a far, far more limiting ideology than conservatism is. Mainstream conservatism is. And they were predisposed to be against Vivek Ramaswamy. In fact, I might even have that clip. Not a clip, rather. No, I guess I don't. I wanted to see if I could show that to you. But Vivek Ramaswamy basically knew that he was going in front of a crowd that was potentially going to be hostile because of its libertarianism and its dislike for some of the things Vivek Ramaswamy has proposed in the past, including his support for skilled HB1 visa holders coming into the United States, which is automatically his going up against a hostile crowd. And according to multiple reports, he knew it, but still agreed to speak. And it was a planned 30-minute speech that only lasted about 15, which is why they're saying they booed him off the stage. Back to the dispatch. Things collapsed when Ramaswamy started his winners versus whiners portion of his speech, a staple he believes is a rallying cry for Ohioans and Americans to work hard and make their own success, which it is, which he's right about. I make the same speech. According to the Daily Beast, he told one disruptive audience member, "You want to give a speech? Well, then you can get on when they give you a slot, all right?" So in other words, somebody was shouting things, a heckler, not just a word or two, but shouting things that were completely disruptive to the actual speech, saying, "Do you want to give a speech? When you get a slot on the stage here, then you can do that." In other words, but for now, shut up and listen to the guy who's actually got the slot. I don't think that's so egregious. I don't think that is off-putting as off-putting as they are describing it in the dispatch. Then he made matters worse when he said, and I'm going to play this part because this is the part, and I think I have this clip queued up. Yeah, I think this is the one. So let me bring this up for you. And this is the line that everybody who is, trying to make a bigger deal out of this event than it was, and to make a bigger deal out of it in the campaign bigger picture than it is, this comment that he made, because I think a lot of people are completely misconstruing and or intentionally taking out of context some of the things that Vivek Ramaswamy says. And I think this is one of those. So here we go.
Truth of the matter is, no matter what happens, in whichever direction we go, people of my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be your generation that pays the price. That choice belongs to you.
You're a political cretin, and you need to get the fuck out of here.
Okay, now that's an edit. That's an edit that, of course, you would expect from these people to do. Vivek Ramaswamy made a statement. If you did not hear the actual language, I'll play it again and then I'll read it.
The truth of the matter is, no matter what happens, in whichever direction we go, people of my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be your generation that pays the price. That choice belongs to you.
You're a political cretin, and you need to get the fuck out of here.
Did you see the two edits there? One was him making a statement in which he said, the truth of the matter is, no matter what happens, in whichever direction we go, people in my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be your generation that pays the price. And then, the booze, the booze, the booze. Then you saw the edit to click over to the one heckler yelling, "You're a political cretin and you need to get the F out of here." And then another edit to him walking off the stage, as if those things all happened in unison or in chronologically, just, that quickly together. That's not the case. Okay. They do that kind of thing to mislead. He had a conversation, a speech, obviously, as some points he was making there. There were some hecklers, and ultimately he did leave the stage, not right when somebody yelled at him, "You're a political cretin and you need to get the F out of here." It wasn't that at all. All right. He knows how to deal with hostility. He's been dealing with it for a very long time. A lot of criticisms about him and his business and so on and so forth. But I want to bring to the forefront here what he said, because here's how the Columbus Dispatch portrays this. Ramaswamy appearing before what should have been a receptive and cowed crowd, in essence said, "I got mine, you losers." Is that what you heard when he said, People in my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be your direction that pays the price. Was that a flex? Was that a, we've already made it. I'm rich. My people are good. It's you losers who don't have anything. Is that what you heard? I guarantee you that's what Casey Putsch supporters heard. And Casey Putsch and his crew are all over the internet with this. And I bet every damn nickel I have that the majority of that crowd was Casey Putsch former supporters and former primary voters. They are doing everything they can to take Vivek Ramaswamy down, because that lunatic, Casey Putsch, that I had on this show, the second month or first month or whatever it was that I even had this show online, that guy basically said his mission is to stop Vivek Ramaswamy. He didn't think he could be governor. He didn't think he'd be a good governor. He knew he couldn't win. He's just trying to stop Vivek Ramaswamy, which is why I asked him directly, will you endorse, if you lose the primary, will you endorse the winner? And he said no. And he won't vote for him either. He said, I hope everybody sits home and doesn't vote at all. He said he won't vote for Acton, but he hopes people won't vote at all. That's sabotage. And his supporters are out there doing exactly what they can to undermine Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign. And they fill audiences like that one with those people. And then they totally take out of context what the Columbus Dispatch did here. Who's he talking to? He's talking to a group called Young Americans for Liberty, YAL, Young Americans for Liberty. Young Americans put Donald Trump back into office. Young Americans are the ones that Charlie Kirk reached out to bring to conservatism, to flip them from their grooming and brainwashing and psychological training that they got for 12 years of government school and then 4 years of higher education, radical woke education. They should have been just running to the polls to vote for Kamala Harris. Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA and organizations like that got the young voters to say, no, that's not the way. You've been brainwashed. You want true liberty, you come in this way. And they came. Young voters have to be taught and have to be re-educated, deprogrammed from the government school education that they've gotten for their entire lives, and especially at the higher education level. They have to be deprogrammed. All Vivek Ramaswamy was saying here is, you control the future. You guys control the future. My generation has already made it. We have what we have. We're doing what we do. It's you guys, though, if we let this get away from us, who are going to pay the price. That's what Vivek Ramaswamy said. You want me to play it again? And again, they're painting this in the worst possible way, saying that it was a deplorables moment. Quote, this is a disaster that's right up there with Hillary Clinton's deplorables. On what brand of crack are you getting your high? Seriously. He's talking to young people, saying people my age aren't really going to be in control of the future. We've already made it. We've already got what we got. What will you get? What will your generation get? It's up to you. If you let socialism take over, it's your generation that's going to pay the price, not ours. There's a reason we're talking to you, young American voters, because the future is yours.
The truth of the matter is, no matter what happens in whichever direction we go, people of my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be your generation that pays the price.
They started howling before he even finished the line because they were predisposed to, they were booing him. Do you realize this? See, this is the other part of it. They don't want to tell you. The Columbus Dispatch, the left-wing press, they don't want to tell you this. They want to paint this as Vivek Ramaswamy is unpopular and therefore no reason to go out there and vote for him, Republicans. They're trying to suppress the vote by saying that Vivek is unpopular. They are not telling you this. They booed Vivek Ramaswamy when he came onto the stage. You get that? It wasn't as if it was a friendly, receptive, conservative crowd. And Vivek Ramaswamy turned them off and they started booing as the more he spoke. No, they booed him when he got on stage. It was a hostile crowd and he took it on anyway. Because like I said, they're all these, libertarian, anti-conservative, anti-MAGA, Casey Putsch style supporters. Casey Putsch supporters, not supporters of Vivek at all. They were booing him when he started. So they were predisposed to boo anything he said. That's why he didn't even get the last part of the line out when they started booing. And now the dispatch is calling it a deplorables moment.
The people of my generation have already made it. We're going to be fine. It's going to be your generation that pays the price. That choice belongs to you.
In what way is he wrong? Somebody find the scandal here. Somebody find the horrific statement here that Vivek Ramaswamy made. Our generation does have what it's going to get. I'm Gen X. The millennial generation, which Vivek is in, they're established. They're going to be fine. He's right. The question is Generation Z going to be fine? Is Generation Alpha behind them going to be fine? If this country turns to socialism and overarching authoritarian control, the type of which Amy Acton, his opponent, displayed during the entire COVID period in which she ran the shop. Mike DeWine gave her the keys and said, you make the calls. And she did the most heavy-handed authoritarian lockdown that any red state in America underwent. Blue states underwent it just as badly. But red states largely did not. This one did because of Amy Acton. Vivek is saying, if you choose that kind of leadership, young people, you're going to pay the price. You're going to suffer from the effects of socialism. You're going to suffer from the effects of a Democrat Congress that's going to strip away so much of the Constitution. The DSA has made it clear. You're going to lose the Electoral College. Your generation isn't going to have an opportunity to be represented at the table. Your generation, particularly if you are conservative, is going to be the one that pays an awful price if we don't stand up together. My generation won't be the one that pays the price. Yours will. That's an expression of concern for the young voters, not a stomp on or a flex against the young voters. He wasn't saying, I'm rich, we got ours, losers. Good luck getting your own. He's saying, we need to work together to make sure you don't lose that which we have. And you have the opportunity to gain. Dispatch. It's the type of comment that will haunt him through his campaign and harm him should he win. Every time he says my generation, it will become shorthand for oblivious billionaire elites like him who believe his generation has made it and denigrates those who haven't. See, this is what they want. They want to turn, this is the Dispatch. Like I said, the same article could be written in and probably has been written in different form, but with the same message by the Steamer and by the Inquirer and all the rest of them, the Blade, the Vindicator, the Beacon Journal. They're all writing the same crap. This remark is going to haunt him for the rest of his campaign. He's an oblivious billionaire elite who says his generation has made it, and the hell with you who haven't. No, he's saying, I want you to make it too. And if you let the socialists take over, you let the Amy Actons take over, you let the Democrats take over, you will pay a very heavy price because you won't have the opportunities to do what we've done. In this economy, the message is as subtle as being hit in the head with a brick, writes the Dispatch. He says Americans have a choice of winning or whining, which is easy to say for someone who flies around the state in a private jet and flaunts his wealth. How the hell do you think he got a private jet and his wealth? He was born in the United States to parents who came here from India with nothing, and built his own empire, built his own financial successful businesses of which we are all envious, in fact, but we would be stupid to denigrate. We would say, my gosh, that is the picture of the American dream. Whether born here or born somewhere else, you come here legally And you're able to not just leech, not just be a third worlder who's going to leech off of whatever free stuff they can get, but wants to build something and then build upon that, and now employs a ton of people. That's the American dream. He's lived it. And some don't like it because he's Indian. The comments? Oh, the comments. Getting a little bit off the trail here, but this is what happens with ADD. The comments are brutal. They hate the fact that he's an Indian. They mock his ethnicity. They mock his wife's ethnicity. They mock his children. They don't like the idea. These people in the crowd aren't liberals, LMFAO. These are actual conservatives, unlike you frauds. How is replacing white Americans with infinity Indians conservative? It's not. Vivek isn't an American. He never will be. He's an anchor baby. Retards. This is the comment. These are what the comments are like. We want America first, never Vivek. Vivek has parroted almost every America first principle Donald Trump ran and won on. What are you talking about? As an Ohio conservative, F Vivek. He clearly does not respect the people of Ohio. I mean, the comments are brutal, like I said, especially the ones when you get into all of the fact that he is Indian, of India, and a Hindu. That's another part of this whole thing. It's complete and blatant racism. I mean, again, it's being fostered not by true conservatives. It's being fostered by the, Casey Putsch faction and the libertarian, in some places, factions. But it's insulting to people working 2 and 3 jobs, the dispatch wrote. Do those folks say they're tired and stressed and would love a 20-minute break to recharge before they take care of their children? That's not whining. That's trying to keep a family together. Nobody is talking about needing a break. We're talking about lazy asses who refuse to actually study. Vivek Ramaswamy is talking about people who don't take their education seriously, and then they don't take going to work seriously. They want the path of least resistance and then expect to somehow be wealthy. Whining that other people have what they do not have. Because the other people who have worked their collective asses off for it. He said everybody can be a winner if you work hard. Vivek Ramaswamy is basically repeating the same mantra that we have all, as conservative-minded people, always believed. We don't want a hand out from the government. We don't want Section 8. We don't want welfare. We don't want food stamps. We don't want Medicare for all. We just want an opportunity. Give us an opportunity, and we will make the most of it. That's how winners are built. I just had a Rocky Balboa moment there. That's how winning is done. You work for it harder than everybody else. Rather than sitting around and saying, man, I wish I had a Lexus. Man, I wish I had a $500,000 home. Whining about it. Okay, maybe you can have one. What are you doing? Did you go to school? Did you graduate high school? Are you working a 40-hour job? No, you're only working part-time. Why? Well, because I like to drink and smoke. I like to go to the gym. I like to go on a lot of vacations. I like this, I like that. Whatever reason it is that you feel like you can't put in your 40 hours. Put in your 40 hours, put in 45. Volunteer for that overtime when you get an opportunity to. And suddenly, maybe the manager is going to look and say, dude's motivated, and bump you up to a shift manager, whatever it is that you do. I'm obviously being hypothetical here. Whatever it is, do it better, to the point where somebody notices it and gives you an opportunity for a raise. Maybe a promotion, maybe another one. Maybe after a while, you learn so much about the job that you're doing, you say, I think I can do this from the management perspective, from the ownership perspective, and I've saved up enough money, I'm going to open my own business doing just this. You know, one of the hardest workers I've ever known, he was a sponsor of mine when I was doing the radio show for years. He sponsored me for probably 15 years. I'm hopeful to get him to sponsor this show. his father, I'm not going to say the business because I don't want to give it away. He runs a business, though, that was started by his father. His father came into this country legally from a Middle Eastern country. And he had nothing, like not 2 nickels to rub together. He looked for work. He found hard labor work. It was hard labor installing for the owner. He didn't have a family yet because he knew he couldn't support a family. He saved his money. He had an idea. Rather than working and collecting the money and spending it, he saved it. And along with the money, he saved the knowledge he learned from the installing, the knowledge of how to do it, and then how to acquire it, and then how to essentially run it. He studied and learned over a period of years and saved all of his money until he could then, with the knowledge he gained, the experience he gained, and the money he had saved, started his own business doing the exact same thing that he did working in his labor position. And he started that business and then grew it. Extraordinary. He worked his ass off. And then when he had his family, had his children, raised them the same way, and then two of them actually, took over the business and have grown it to even higher levels since. That was what Vivek Ramaswamy was talking about. Winners versus whiners. Working his hardest or their hardest at something that was very, very difficult. Formulating a plan on how to rise above that to another place, to another place, to another place, to now where they're a thriving, successful business. All started by an immigrant dad who came here hoping to find his way because the life in that other country was horrific. Didn't cheat, didn't cross illegally, came here, waited his turn, came here, built that. Now he's got a family with a successful business that has branched out into some other businesses too. That's the bootstrap narrative that conservatives are supposed to believe in. I don't have anything, but I'm not going to lay here and cry until the government gives me some. I'm going to work and take some. And then I'm going to save some. And I'm going to save some more. And I'm going to work harder. And I'm going to get a little bit more, and a little bit more, a little bit more. And then I'm going to make my own opportunity to become a winner. That's what winning is. That's how winning is done. Again, Rocky Balboa, one of the great movies in the series. So Vivek is basically saying work hard and be a winner rather than lay around and bitch that you don't have what somebody else has and be a whiner. And they're turning it into he's calling a tired parent who needs a 20-minute break from after work toward taking care of their children. That's not whining. That's keeping a family together. With every flub and unforced error and holier-than-thou comment, Ramaswamy reinforces his image as an unaware, obnoxious, and unlikable elite trying to buy his way to office. No, that's the narrative that you left-wing bastards are trying to create, and anti-racist and anti-immigrant people, all immigrants, like Casey Putsch's faction, the ones who hate the fact that he's not Christian and he's not European ethnicity. I almost said he's not American, but he is American. He's born here. His mother is an American citizen. And again, he has made the most of his opportunities here to be a winner, to work hard, to study, to be successful, instead of whining and saying, where's mine? What do you mean you're cutting Medicaid payments? What do you mean I'm no longer eligible for food stamps? That's whining. And that doesn't mean everybody who receives any assistance on a temporary basis is a whiner or a failure. I told you, I grew up eating government cheese. I grew up poor, period. And it wasn't, I don't want to get too overly personal here, but my father lived a horrifically difficult life, worked his ass off as a roofer. Despite having 2 destroyed legs, worked as a roofer. for all of my life. He brought home what he could. He had a 7th grade education. He was born in 1929, grew up in the 30s, the Depression. Not a whole lot of people growing up in Western Pennsylvania like that were able to finish high school. At 7th grade, it was get your ass out of that school and go find a job. You got to contribute to the family here. We got to find a way. And that was his life. He didn't have any education. He worked his ass off, though, to try his best. But we ate government cheese every winter. Every winter. And eggs, a few other things. And I watched my mom when we would stand at the grocery store trying to figure out if she's got enough in that envelope from that meager check that he just gave her. He didn't want to go on welfare, but they did need food stamp assistance. Yeah. He worked, tried hardest, lifted himself up as high as he could. Point being, whining about your circumstances versus trying to work your way out of your circumstances. That's the difference that Vivek is talking about. How is that in any way unconservative? How is that in any way elitist or obnoxious or flaunting wealth? It's saying what you can do, you must do for yourself. Become a winner yourself. Don't wait for somebody to hand you an opportunity. Go out and seize one, find one, make one. I'll be honest with you. It's what I'm doing right freaking now. I got a prison shank to my back about 8 months ago and had my radio show taken away from me. Okay? Got some options here. Call it a career after 28 years in broadcasting and go do something else for a living. Or if you still feel like you have something to give, you still feel like you have something to offer, make another opportunity. So this is a self-employment business. I'm trying to make another opportunity doing this online. I could sit and whine about being backstabbed by a political snake, which I was, and I have whined about a little bit, but not off into the shadows and just feeling sorry for myself. I still feel like I have something to give. I have something to offer. I have some education and information that I can share that I think are going to be beneficial to people, particularly people as it comes down to choosing leadership in the political circles. And here I am. 8 months in, it's a struggle. Plateauing growth. That's a problem. Looking for sponsors, looking for more growth. I want to win. A shocking idea. What a concept. So I'm working hard every day while also working another job so that I can replace salary that was stolen. I could sit around and bitch and cry and whine and moan, or I can work 13 hours a day. I'm working 3 hours every morning, I'm working 7-hour shift in the middle of the day, and I'm working at least another 2 or 3 at night, preparing for the next day. I'm pretty much, what do I want to do? Whiner or winner? I want to win. I want to be successful at this because I feel like it has value. Vivek Ramaswamy stood there in front of that group at Xavier University and said, do that. Work hard, find your way to win. Don't whine. Don't complain that everything is so unfair, I can't do anything, and then say, what can you do for me? Instead, ask yourself, what can I do? What can I offer to others that will make me successful? Whether you're a broken down, shattered-legged roofer like my father, or you're in a situation like mine, or your own. Vivek said, and conservatism says, Americanism says, this is how we get better. We work our hardest. We don't ask for handouts. We certainly will accept hand-ups. I talk about that all the time too. There's the donation page, donation part of the page on the Rumble channel. If you want to support the work that I'm doing, please become a subscriber. Throw $10 into the tip jar every so often, or $10 a month, a couple of big cups of coffee. Will I accept assistance for that? Yeah, but it's not. I'm not standing on the corner with an empty can in my hand saying all lives matter. I'm trying to give you something for that. I'm asking you to contribute to what I'm doing because I feel like it has value. If you think it has value too and it can assist, please contribute. That might fall into hand up. It is absolutely not in hand out. All Vivek Ramaswamy is saying, find your way. And they're trying to make it look as though he was flexing on people and saying, well, my generation already has mine. You losers don't have anything. That's your problem. No, he's saying, don't let that happen to you. Do what we did. Find your way up just like we did. And if you vote and allow, or don't, if you don't vote, if you vote for socialists or don't vote at all and allow the socialist votes to win, your generation will pay the price. How is that controversial? It's truth. I've got another article here about this that looks at it from a little bit of a different perspective, from a different perspective and through a different lens. This one was written by a Texan, believe it or not, who is all over this story of Ohio's gubernatorial race. And I think I still have his link up. Maybe I do not. I don't think I do. I'm sorry. It's not a deal breaker. His name is Micah Farmer, and he's a Texan, but he's a political journalist, reporter, whatever, but who saw what happened with Vivek and wrote a piece about this that is larger picture. It was about the conference, the Young Americans for Liberty conference at Xavier University, but bigger picture on what lessons might be here for Republicans nationwide with respect to what happened to Vivek Ramaswamy getting booed off of that stage, as they say it. Again, it wasn't as if it was a cheering crowd of conservatives, yes, and then he stands up there and says a lot of horrible, stupid things, and they boo him off the stage. That's the narrative that the left is trying to give. That's the narrative that the Casey Putches are trying to give. That's the narrative that the Amy Acton campaign is trying to give. It's not reality. They were booing before he even came on because they had an agenda. He hadn't said a word yet. And then they are trying to do this. So Micah Farmer tried to cover this from a little bit more of a pragmatic point of view and a realistic point of view. So Ohio gubernatorial candidate Vivek Ramaswamy was met with hostility during his recent speech at the Young Americans for Liberty conference in Cincinnati. While being booed in his home state is embarrassing enough, the incident may point to something far more significant, a growing divide within the Republican coalition that could become increasingly difficult to ignore heading into the next election. See, so this isn't an attempted hatchet job on Vivek or on the Republican movement. This is what can we learn from this? Okay. Vivek's reception should serve as a warning to Republican leaders. The voters who helped fuel the party's recent success are not guaranteed supporters, and assuming otherwise risks repeating the very mistake Democrats made with young voters. If the GOP wants to remain the party of America's rising generation, it cannot assume their loyalty. Fair points. Totally agree. You got to win them one election after the other. It's harder because we have to win them without Charlie. Next month is the 1 year of one of the defining moments of this period in America's history. Again, I said this after they took him from us. My sadness, of course, is for Charlie and his family first, I guess, but there is an overwhelming feeling of selfishness that I recognize for me and for my country because we lost him. I mean, Erica lost him. His children lost him. The people he was closest to lost him from a personal perspective, but we lost him for 50 years. One of the most influential, God-fearing, Christian, conservative voices of all time? That's a lot. I mean, you think about the most conservative voices of all time, and you think of the names of Limbaugh and Buckley. I mean, there are precious few where you could call them all-timers. Charlie was only 31, so he didn't get to have that decades-long influence that some of the others did. But in his very short political life from the age of 17 to 31, he packed so much into it, where one could argue he's one of the most influential conservative voices in American history. And I'm getting pissed off right now and sad at the same time, because winning over these young Republicans, these young would-be Republicans, or these young maybe would-be conservatives was Charlie's greatest gift. His expertise was his ability to talk to young people and put into practical terms, into ways they would understand some of the stuff that you and I are talking about right now that I don't have the gift for. I have a gift to, in certain respects, I'm a relatively gifted speaker. I mean, I've been a presenter my entire life, from going back to my former career as a teacher, presenting to students. But a shadow of the gift that Charlie Kirk had. He had the ability to reach people, and particularly young people, at a level that the rest of us could only dream of. We had him for the next 50 years. He was 31 when they killed him. He could be influencing Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta behind them, which is what I'm assuming the generations are going to be named long after I'm dead. He could be influencing them for decades to come and ensuring our country, our republic's survival. That's why it was such the devastation, and this is going to hit even harder when we talk as we get up closer to September 10th and the first anniversary of the murder of Charlie Kirk. Again, the sadness for his loss and for his family and so forth is obviously of paramount importance. But the selfish side of me, and probably all of us, is like, they took one of our most gifted leaders from us that would have done so many great things for our country and for our existence in the future decades of his life. And it's just infuriating. And I feel cheated. I feel cheated. I was cheated. We were all cheated. My 23-year-old son was cheated. My 25-year-old daughter. True American conservatives through and through, who listened to him. My son especially. That crowd of people in YAL, the crowd of people in the Young Republicans Club. All of those young kids needed his voice. They heeded his voice. When they had it, they heeded his words. And now they need his voice, and it's not there. I'm just pointing out the obvious as like I said, look through Michael Farmer's words here about, if the GOP wants to remain the party of America's rising generation, it cannot assume their loyalty. It must continue earning it by nominating leaders who address their concerns. Yeah, and that's what Charlie did. He addressed those things. He didn't assume their loyalty. He went out there and earned it, spoke on behalf of so many of these leaders, and talking to them at a level that the rest of us can't reach them on. And it's just so wrong. It's just so unfair. It's so unfair. And I know it's being selfish. Most of the attendees viewed Ramaswamy as out of step with their priorities, particularly on immigration and economic opportunity. Young Republicans and libertarians are in agreement with Vivek about free enterprise being the best system for economic opportunity. However, many younger conservatives believe that expanded use of foreign labor through programs such as H-1B and OPT has reduced opportunities for American graduates entering the workforce and contributed to downward pressure on wages. On that, I agree. With that, I agree. I don't have any problem bringing in skilled labor if skilled labor is not being created and being put forth by America's institutions. If our skilled labor, when I say skilled, I'm talking about the engineers, I'm talking about STEM. If we're not providing and producing enough of those from America's institutions for lack of interest or any other reason, and we need to stay ahead of the rest of the world by bringing in some of the smartest minds and the brightest minds from the rest of the world, I'm okay with that. But if they're being produced here, we don't have a need for massive numbers of H-1Bs. And that's a legitimate question and a concern to ask Vivek Ramaswamy about. But they weren't just doing that there. They were booing him before he started, again, because there was an agenda in some of these racist, anti-anybody that's not Christian crowds. And that's not very Christian, by the way. I'm Christian. I'm Catholic. And I can welcome a Hindu who believes in the same faith, family, and freedom principles that I do, that Charlie did, that Reagan did, that I believe President Trump does. I don't want to say I don't care. Sure, would I love him to be, a Christian? Sure. It is not disqualifying that he's a Hindu any more than it would be disqualifying if he was a Jew. It's not a requirement to be a Christian. There's no fealty test in order to win an election as a Republican, and they have to be a Christian. I hope that's clear. Some may argue that one conference audience is not representative of the Republican electorate. That's true. Young Americans for Liberty attracts a particular libertarian audience. Exactly. And its members don't speak for every Republican voter. However, political movements often reveal emerging trends before they appear in national polling. If Republicans want to continue building on their gains with younger voters, ignoring those signals would be a mistake. Vivek Ramaswamy is clearly better for Ohio than Democrat candidate Amy Acton, but this is beside the point. The real story is what his reception revealed. Young conservatives are no longer content to simply rally behind Republican candidates because they oppose Democrats. Political coalitions are not inherited but must be maintained. Republicans succeeded in winning many young voters in 2024 because they spoke to concerns that much of the political establishment had overlooked. If the party begins treating those voters as a permanent constituency instead of one that must be continually persuaded, it risks repeating the same complacency that cost Democrats a generation of young voters. I don't disagree with any of that, but I think it's wrong to say that Vivek Ramaswamy is just expecting loyalty, expecting them to be loyal to him because he's not the Democrat. I think he's out there trying to preach the message, saying, look, my generation isn't the one at risk. We're set. Your generation is the one that's at risk. Let's build your generation up together to have the same things that we have and the same opportunities, and the generation behind you when your children come up, so that they have the same opportunities and the same glorious republic that you do. That's what his message was. He's not taking it for granted. He's saying, let's work together, young people. That's what we're here for. Don't let the socialists ruin this republic for you and for your children to come. That's what he was saying. I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy did anything wrong there. The question that is that I started this whole thing with is on your screen now. Can Vivek connect with young voters? My answer is yes, he can, if he's given a fair shot. If the left-wing media doesn't continue to portray events like this as being something that they were not, yes, he can. And that's going to depend upon what? Are you ready? You and me. We have to counter the lies and the narratives that are not accurate. Do we have questions about Vivek with H1B or HB1? Yes. We'll ask them. Do we have questions about where he stands on data centers? Yes. I asked him about data centers. He does not want data centers in people's communities. He doesn't want them taking up people's farmlands either. He wants brownfield areas to be repurposed. He wants old factories to be repurposed as the data center. There are places where factories are that are not taking up farmland and that are not right next to your house. We can put data centers there. He knows the need for technology is never going to end. We cannot go back to just, Atari and Commodore 64s. Technology has advanced us where we are, from computing to cloud computing, from technological innovation to AI. All of these things are going to be used around the world. And if the rest of the world advances them and we say, nah, we're good where we are, It would be like going back to to the wagon wheel. We're not going to do that. We're going to advance like the rest of the world is advancing. In fact, we're going to lead the way. And that's going to require the use of data centers. Does that mean that they can use up all of our resources unchecked? Does that mean we have to pay for them? Give them tax abatements rather than charge the big companies who are driving the technology, that are making the money, charge them with paying for it all? No, we want them to pay. We don't want them to have tax abatements. We don't want them next to our homes. We don't want them taking up our precious farmland either. You solve those issues, the resources, etc., and let's go. That's where Vivek lands. What's wrong with that? He's trying to literally find the sweet spot where we stay technologically advanced, both with workers and with data centers, without putting Americans out and without taking up, again, America's resources, including our space, by our communities, our neighborhoods, and there are absolutely spaces for factories all over this country. Some of them, do you know how many brownfields? Do you know how many of these areas are no longer in use, but their space is there? That's a good place to build. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit long-winded on it, and I do apologize for that, but I'm very passionate about this. The second article I shared with you from Micah, unlike the first one from the Columbus Dispatch, hits the spot. We cannot take the young voters for granted, that because they were with us in 2024, they'll be with us again. Two things. One, Trump was on the ballot in 2024, and Charlie Kirk made the most of that. Two, Charlie Kirk was here in 2024. We don't have either one of those two advantages this time or any time in the future. Trump's name is going to be off the ballot. Charlie Kirk won't be here helping connect to young voters, which means we have to do the job. We have to do the very best we can in telling the truth, taking apart the lies and the fiction and the fabrications of the left-wing media about people like Vivek and any of the other candidates they're trying to disparage in order to try to get people like Sherrod Brown back into the Senate. That's our job. That's our mission. We have to reach the people that Charlie was reaching, and to the very best we can. And Vivek does too. And again, he was doing it. He went there with the right message. Winners, not whiners is not some sort of a flex of, an obnoxious, wealthy elitist over people who are middle class. Not at all. He's saying become the best you can be by working and harder and becoming a winner of your own merits, of your own work ethic, rather than whining and saying, gimme, 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 whatever you can gimme, gimme free stuff. That's all Vivek is doing, and that should appeal to young people. And we need to make sure that it does. That's our mission. We've got another mission too, and that is to make sure that people get elected. Not only Vivek Ramaswamy, but Senator John Husted, who is doing a very, very fantastic job in the Senate. John Husted started out very slowly because he had to learn his way around the whole place. He has now become a very effective voice in the Senate and a reliable conservative vote every single time. And we need to make sure he stays there and that Sherrod Brown stays where he is in permanent retirement. Get out. We already fired him with Bernie Moreno once. Now we got to fire him again, this time with Senator Husted. Help us do that. Become a citizen advocate. Knock on some doors. Volunteer with AFP Action at AFPAction.com. AFP is Americans for Prosperity. AFPAction.com is a place where you can go to be a part of what needs to be done. And that is volunteering to help support, get out the vote. Nobody's asking you to flip leftists into conservatives. We're just asking you, and what they're just asking you to do is to go out there and talk to some already conservatives who may not be super inspired about voting and saying, hey, let's get that inspiration. Let's get out there and vote. Let's do the job. There's information that needs to be shared. We can do this, but only with all of our assistance. That's yours and mine. Please help write a new chapter. Visit AFPAction.com. AFP, Prosperity. They are one of our foundational sponsors right here at Speaking Unfiltered. Somebody that I found that was willing to partner with me to do something. That's not a handout. That is let's do great things together for this state and for this public. That's what I'm talking about. Instead of sitting around and whining, pick something up and build it and run with it. Even if you're running into snags, even if you run into plateaus, things start to flatten a little bit, the growth is leveled off here, I'm going to keep pushing and fighting. I need help. I need support. Not afraid to admit that. We can help each other. That's the whole mission of this project. It's the whole mission of the newsletter, too. If you're not subscribed to the Sunday briefing and you're not sharing that with other people, then we're missing an opportunity to grow and expand and help one another. Please consider that. That's why when I put this up here at the end of the show, the QR code over here is to become a follower of Strictly Speaking Unfiltered on Rumble. The QR code to the right is to subscribe to the Sunday briefing. It's simple, it's easy, and it helps all of us. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you. Be well, be safe, stay free. Keep fighting the fight. I'll never forget. I've got that poster over there. You can't see it in my camera shot right now. I've got the Trump painting behind me, but I've got the Trump fight, fight, fight poster. It inspires me every single day. When they tried to take his life and he said, no, not today. We're going to fight, fight, fight. Every damn day that poster inspires me. Every day when I get off, because when I get up from this console, I'm going to turn and walk that way to exit my studio, and I'm going to walk right by it, and I see it every single day. And that's what I want. That's the message I want you to have too. Never stop fighting. We'll see you tomorrow.